The Honorable Finance Minister will be joining us shortly. Everyone is requested to please take their seats and keep the phones on silent mode. Thank you. The Honorable Finance Minister will be joining us shortly. Everyone is requested to please take your seats and keep the phones on silent mode. Thank you. The Finance Minister is already here and will be joining us shortly. So please take your seats and put the phones on silent mode. Thank you. The Finance Minister is already here. I request everybody to please put their phones on silent mode.
Halfway into the day.
The Honorable Finance Minister is amongst us. Please rise for her welcome. Good afternoon and namaskar. Today, on this momentous occasion, marking the successful completion of 6 years of GST, our gathering has been graced by Honorable Union Minister of Finance and Corporate Affairs, Srimati Nirmala SItharaman ji, and Honorable Minister of State for Finance, Shri Pankaj Chaudhary ji. On behalf of the CBIC, we would like to extend a very warm welcome to both of them. We would also like to welcome esteemed Revenue Secretary, Sri Sanjay Malhotra, and all the other dignitaries and guests who are with us today. As we work to create light for others, we naturally light our own way. With this noble thought, let us begin today's event with the lighting of the lamp ceremony. I request the dignitaries on the dais to please light the lamp as we seek blessings of Goddess Saraswati.
आप सभी गणमान्य अतिथियों का आभार। सरस्वती वंदना की इस अद्भुत प्रस्तुति के लिए सीजीएसटी दिल्ली क्षेत्र के विभागीय अधिकारियों का धन्यवाद। अब मैं सीबीआईसी अध्यक्ष श्री विवेक जौहरी से निवेदन करती हूं कि वे माननीय वित्त मंत्री महोदय को स्मृति चिन्ह भेंट कर उनका स्वागत करें। मैं सीबीआईसी अध्यक्ष से पुनः अनुरोध करती हूं कि वे माननीय वित्त राज्य मंत्री महोदय को स्मृति चिन्ह भेंट कर उनका स्वागत करें। धन्यवाद अध्यक्ष महोदय। अब मैं मेंबर सीबीआईसी श्री शशांक प्रिया से निवेदन करती हूं कि वे माननीय राजस्व सचिव महोदय को स्मृति चिन्ह भेंट कर उनका स्वागत करें। धन्यवाद महोदय। अब मैं सीबीआईसी अध्यक्ष श्री विवेक जौहरी से अनुरोध करती हूं कि वे सभा के समक्ष अपना स्वागत संबोधन रखें।
A very good afternoon to everyone. Namaskar. Union Minister for Finance and Corporate Affairs, Srimati Nirmala SItharaman ji, Minister of State for Finance, Shri Pankaj Chaudhary ji, Revenue Secretary, Shri Sanjay Malhotra, members of the board, colleagues from CBDT, fellow officers from the department, ladies and gentlemen. It's indeed a great privilege for me to welcome all of you on the auspicious occasion of the 6th GST Day. My greetings and felicitations to the entire GST family. I must begin by expressing my deep gratitude on behalf of the CBIC to Hon'ble FM and Hon'ble MOS for taking time out to be here with us to share our joy, guide us, and inspire us. Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you, sir. Let me say a few words about the event we've curated for today, ma'am. We've done it with different strokes this time. If you recall, ma'am, last year we had representatives from the trade to share their experience of the GST with us. And there were very valuable inputs that we received from them. This year we've decided to turn our gaze inwards. So over the next 1 hour, what we'll view is GST through the prism of our officers at the cutting edge level. What difference GST has made to their lives and workplace, and how technology has become their new tool of the trade in delivering their services. As you're aware, ma'am, the board has been pushing for greater transparency and accountability at all levels through the performance management initiatives that we've taken. The important ones being Sadat and Akalan, which you had reviewed when we met in April, and the revised system of inspections that we're about to launch for the field formations. As a next step towards this, ma'am, we are launching a new initiative called Pratidin, which is going to be a daily digitized account of tasks done by the basic administrative unit in GST, which is the range. This tool, we feel, would be an important means of self-motivation and supervision for officers at the cutting-edge level. The benefits of GST, both to the macroeconomy and the taxpayer, are well documented. Greater revenue efficiency, and we've seen some of that today with revenue collections for the month of June exceeding 1.6 lakh crore. Better compliance, market integration through enhanced internal trade flows. These are some of the benefits at the macro level. As far as the taxpayer or the micro level is concerned, easier processes, smoother flow of ITC, and refunds for taxpayers are some of the very visible and demonstrable benefits. Between 2021 and 21-22, ITC grew at a slightly faster rate than revenue and stood at roughly 51 lakh crore. This is just to dispel the narrative that's very often heard that ITC flows are not smooth under the GST. Likewise, IGST refunds to exporters, ma'am, were of the order of rupees 1.52 lakh crore in 2022-23 itself. The taxpayer base has grown, but still just about 40% of the corporate income tax base is what constitutes the GST taxpayer base of 1.4 crore. Now, given these benefits and their acknowledgement by industry in a recent survey, which I'm sure all of you would have read about, it's difficult to comprehend the reluctance of those who continue to remain outside the system. From this rostrum today, I fervently appeal to them to become a part of GST. And I assure you, ma'am, that on our part, we launch an outreach program to explain the benefits of GST to taxpayers or potential taxpayers who've chosen to stay outside the system, explain the benefits and assist them and handhold them to join. Another major concern that we've had in the recent past, and particularly in the year gone by, is the scourge of creation of bogus firms for generation and circulation of fake ITC. We've launched a very successful campaign to identify and purge such taxpayers from the system. We've busted 304 syndicates involving roughly 9,000 fake GSTins as part of this drive, and we've detected fake ITC of the order of 25,000 crores in the course of this drive. On behalf of CBIC, ma'am, I assure you that our resolution is very firm, and we shall do all it takes to neutralize them and flush them out of the system. We have the full might of technology behind us, and our modus operandi for doing it has been to identify them using advanced data analytics so that the process is not intrusive, it's not left to the discretion of field officers. These lists are then circulated to the field formations for verification, and wherever they're found to be bogus, we've been suspending and canceling registrations. I warn those who continue to do this that we'll come at them very, very aggressively and with a very heavy hand. Contrary to what some may feel, there is no contradiction between seeking a larger taxpayer base and exercising due diligence when registering a new entrant. It cannot be anybody's case that the taxpayer base, which is not clean, is a desirable one. We want a larger but clean taxpayer base so that the honest taxpayer is protected and he is able to thrive. Lastly, ma'am, in pursuance of your directions, CBIC has conducted several open house or grievance redressal meetings with the trade in different parts of the country. Many of these meetings have been chaired by members of the board. Several suggestions, ranging from policy, procedure, to changes in IT platform have been received, and these are currently under examination. Once again, I welcome all of you to this auspicious occasion and function. I thank you for being here with us today, and I thank you, ma'am, and Honorable MS Finance for being in our midst, and wish that the coming year brings greater strength, stability, and resilience. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir, for always guiding and inspiring us with your words and beginning the celebration of this GST Day on such a thought-provoking note. 6 years ago, with the implementation of GST, we began the monumental transformation of our nation's economic landscape, bringing in an Amrit Kal, balancing the growth of the nation and the welfare of its people. Today, we shall reflect upon the journey we embarked on, the challenges we overcame, and the successes we have achieved together by appreciating a series of short films, performances, and presentations. To begin with, we have a film on leveraging technology by the Directorate General of Taxpayer Services. In 2022, the Directorate General of Systems was conferred the coveted Digital India Award for their remarkable technological adaptation and innovation. This film explores how technology has been leveraged in GST to change the lives of the taxpayers for the better.
July 2017. A red-letter day in the history of India, when at midnight in the Central Hall of the Parliament, Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi launched GST, the Goods and Services Tax, as the most revolutionary tax reform in India, which aimed to leverage technology and create a seamless, user-friendly online platform for businesses and taxpayers, promoting voluntary compliance as well as to curb tax evasion. To make this possible, the Goods and Services Tax Network, GSTN, created gst.gov.in, a single portal acting as a bridge between the government and taxpayers, revolutionizing tax compliance by bringing all the compliance processes online. As the portal provides all the front-end services 24/7, eligible taxpayers can apply for registration, file returns, make tax payments, claim refunds, view notices, file replies, track status, file appeals, and much more with just a few clicks. This technology-driven approach of the government provides businesses with a myriad of facilities to comply with GST regulations and promote growth. These facilities include a simplified return filing process with auto-population of data, e-way bill system enabling free flow of goods, e-invoicing for B2B supplies and exports, system-generated messages to taxpayers for filing timely return, and facility of filing of nil return with a simple SMS.
GST is a real game changer for the Indian industry. Hassle-free GST returns, e-invoicing, editing facilities for e-invoicing, issues of debits and credit notes have really been a welcome change in carrying out the ease of doing business for the industries.
Earlier, our refunds used to be processed about in 3 months' time. Now within 15 days we get the refunds because there is a fully automation in the system.
GST is not only benefiting taxpayers but also empowering the taxation system and tax officers through use of state-of-the-art technology. DG Systems has developed a robust back-end application, ACES GST, that caters to the need of the department's workforce. With this, the efficiency of the department has increased multifold, resulting in effective trade facilitation and faster resolution of issues reported by taxpayers by using AI-based GST Interactive Assistant Tool and CBIC Mitra platform. For GST registration, facilities like geo-tagging of place of business and Aadhaar authentication help ensure secure and reliable identification. Automatic suspension of registration and blocking of e-way bill generation for those who haven't filed their returns. To curb GST evasion, the e-way bill system has also been integrated with the Vahan database and FASTag system, enabling officers to track vehicular movement in real time. Knowing that technology can play a crucial role in sealing tax leakages, Directorate General of Analytics and Risk Management has been using data mining to generate actionable inputs for targeted action such as reports on fundamental mismatches in returns filed by major taxpayers, ITC fraud reports to check suspected ITC misuse, risk scoring of daily refunds filed on GST side, generating risky taxpayer lists for audit, and generating Netra, an analytical tool to aid in ITC verification. These actionable inputs have resulted in recovery of around 1.5 lakh crore rupees till date. In 2018, CBIC launched Project Advait, the next generation business intelligence platform that uses the capabilities of artificial intelligence and machine learning for data-driven policy formulation. The program provides analytical output in the form of reports, visualization-rich dashboards, and data science models. Along with DGARM, GSTN has also set up Business Intelligence and Fraud Analytics, or BIFA cell, that has developed a GST analytics and intelligence network which helps tax officers in generating risk rating reports of entities for deciding detailed verification and action by the department. All these actions together provide CBIC with the right amount of preventive interventions to target non-compliant trade. By embracing technology, GST has created a platform that has not only simplified tax compliance, but has also ensured transparency, accountability, and fairness. As we look ahead, the future of GST is filled with even greater possibilities by adopting emerging technologies for a more seamless and efficient tax system for the benefit of all taxpayers. 6 years of GST, simplifying taxes, driving growth.
We thank DG Taxpayer Services for such an informative film. GST has strengthened the connect between the taxpayer and the department. Like Chairman Sir mentioned in his address, last year on this day, we had members of the trade join us and share with us their views on GST from a taxpayer's perspective. This year, we bring to you a glance at GST from the eyes of the department. We have 4 officers from different CGST formations who will now share with us their experiences on different aspects of GST. I now invite Srimati Jenny Kolnenia, Superintendent Guwahati Zone, to share her experience.
A very good day to all respected dignitaries. It is an honor to share my experience of working in GST on this auspicious GST Day. I have had the privilege of working in the previous tax regime of Central Excise and Service Tax and can say that GST is much simpler for the tax officials and the taxpayers. In the earlier tax regime, returns were filed manually and then electronically through SS. However, it was a difficult task to actually correlate the seller and the buyer. Now, once returns are filed by the taxpayers, we can trace the suppliers and recipient and prevent or detect revenue leakage. The GST system has made the tax collection process more efficient and transparent, increasing the government's tax revenue. There is a need for lesser interaction with the taxpayers due to simplified tax system, which is a huge relief since so many of our taxpayers in Northeast are in remote hilly areas. The facility of filing nil statement on monthly basis in GSTR 3B01 return through SMS is a huge relief to the small taxpayers of Northeast. Through the common portal GSTN, procedures for different processes like registration, tax payments, refunds, returns are automated and simplified. Taxpayers can clear their doubts or give compliances without physically visiting the office by logging in to the GST portal. I can personally attest what a relief this is for taxpayers in remote parts of Northeast. Credit must be given to our foresighted leaders for bringing GST into our lives. I am confident as the systems are streamlining, trade and industry will be empowered, leading to making India as the strongest economies of the world. A very happy GST Day to all. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Jenny. I now request Shri K. Samskar, Inspector, Bangalore Zone, to share his perspective with us.
Honorable Finance Minister Ma'am, all the dignitaries, seniors, and colleagues, good afternoon to you all. Coming from an engineering background, I sometimes used to wonder why digital solutions could not be incorporated into our tax administration in improving as well as simplifying our jobs. With the advent of GST and its progression over the years, I truly believe that it has now become a reality. The first change I noticed is in the compliance verification. Previously, we used to verify input tax credit manually with focus on high-value transactions, which in itself used to take a lot of our time. Now under GST, the same ITC verification is done much faster due to system-based matching of ITC, where inward and outward supplies of the taxpayers are captured comprehensively. It has become immensely easy for us now to identify any discrepancy and take up with the taxpayer. Previously, it was possible to use the same challan for filing multiple returns. However, under GST, it is not possible as there is a ledger system which detects any kind of repetition. Under GST, we have tools introduced like Advait e-way billing system, using which officers can develop intelligence on potential tax evaders, conduct risk assessments. Personally, I found Advait really helpful in generating a variety of reports, giving us immense actionable information on taxpayer at our disposal. Prior to GST, we had no such tools and had to rely on limited resources and informers for developing the intelligence. Now, under GST, we have the informer sitting in our desktop. In conclusion, over the past few years, even as the focus has been on bringing in more taxpayers under the tax net and curbing evasion, there are sustained efforts in improving our systems overall in furthering ease of doing business, both for us as well as the taxpayers. Jai Hind.
धन्यवाद संस्कार जी। जीएसटी की व्यवस्था के अंतर्गत काम करना हमारे अधिकारियों के लिए कितना प्रभावशाली रहा है, इस पर अपने अनुभव साझा करने के लिए मैं कोलकाता क्षेत्र के अधीक्षक श्री सुदीप्तो चक्रवर्ती को मंच पर आमंत्रित करती हूँ।
Honorable Finance Minister, the eminent dignitaries, my respected seniors, colleagues and others. I would like to share few of my experiences of pre-GST vis-a-vis post-GST regime. In first 22 years of service in Central Excise and Service Tax, our offices invariably had overstuffed almirahs, innumerable files, and red cloth bound bundles of prehistoric records, leaving very little space for us. Thankfully, the inception of system-based GST changed the look of the offices, and we suddenly got a clutter-free and digital age office which could run just with one system and could even be accessed from home. 2 thick files of refund application suddenly got reduced to online RFD01. A fat show cause notice with fatter relied upon document suddenly became an anorexic DRC01. Bunch of year ones and ST3s got slimmed to one-page comparative table in Advait, and so on. Even in the times of Corona, when life world over came to an anxious halt, the new regime enabled us to work from home, opening My App Store, sanctioning refund, approving registrations, and attending to the online queries of the taxpayers, and thus enabling business in most difficult times when the country needed it. Sometimes few things are cited against GST, one such being the endemic issue of fake entities and fake ITC. But from my stint in DGGI, I could realize that the infection was already there, working silently and avoiding detection. But with the structure and analytical tools, GST has enabled the detection. This new possibility of digital detection of evasion can be pretty addictive, and when it keeps me awake till late night in front of the computer, my wife often complains, saying, "Aap aur aapka GST is not any better than my Netflix." But I am not complaining because I have already seen and felt the beneficial impact of GST, and I am sure I shall see even more. Thank you.
धन्यवाद सुदीप्तो जी। अब मैं श्रीमती श्रेया तुलसियान, निरीक्षक को अपना अनुभव साझा करने के लिए मंच पर आमंत्रित करती हूँ।
A very good afternoon to all respected dignitaries. As India celebrates Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav and GST collection touches record highs, here I stand, proud to be a small part of this large jigsaw and share my experience as an inspector working in the field. An inspector who is glad for the shift from office to e-office, from files to AIO, which has made the taxation system truly digital and our lives truly simpler. The morning hunt for the all-important file has now been replaced with a well-indexed and prioritized task list in the AIO. The colors going from green when they enter my dashboard, to amber when they feel neglected for a day, to the warning red, prompting me to complete my task immediately, thereby helping me to provide taxpayer services in a time-bound manner. With the availability of all related information to a taxpayer, such as returns, refunds, payments made, confirmed liability, in a single system, there has been a marked reduction in the dependence on interdepartmental communication or seeking third-party data, thereby saving time. This saved time is again utilized in effort maximization, where in the pre-GST period, we officers were finding it difficult to manage even 100 taxpayers each. Today, thousands of taxpayers are being served, and served well, by each officer individually, thanks to the digital design and framework of GST. With further transparency being incorporated into the GST system, we only move one step closer to our goal of Ek Bharat, Shresht Bharat, Sampanna Bharat. Jai Hind.
Thank you, Ms. Shreya. Now I invite Sri Navneet Goyal, Principal Chief Commissioner, CGST Bhopal Zone, to introduce us to Pratidin, a new initiative for daily performance management in CGST.
Thank you, Anu. Respected Srimati Nirmala SItharaman ji, Minister of Finance and Corporate Affairs, Government of India. Shri Pankaj Chaudhary ji, Minister of State for Finance, Revenue Secretary, Chairman CBIC, Member GST, ladies and gentlemen. I will give a short presentation on Pratidin, the daily performance management system, which shall be launched shortly by Honorable Finance Minister for GST formations in CBIC. Madam, Pratidin is inspired by Project Pragati of Honorable Prime Minister, where important projects are monitored regularly to cut down delays. Here, in this system, we'll be monitoring important activities of GST administration to cut down delays and increase our operational efficiency. The present MIS system in CBIC consists of monthly performance reports, which are received by 15th of next month. By the time they are analyzed, we are already in 3rd or 4th week of next month. Because of this, we are not able to take timely action in cases of non-performance. Further, we are not able to compare performances of different formations as MPRs are standalone reports. The GST formations, the GST field officers are doing a number of tasks nowadays, madam. They're monitoring large taxpayers, issuing show-cause notices, adjudicating them, granting refunds, chasing fake billers, and this is when the number of taxpayers have increased drastically since the era of sinful excise and service tax. So many a times our officers are working hard, but we are not able to see results as their work often is not properly aligned with the priorities of the top management. Keeping this in mind, madam, we have designed a web-based system where we identify key areas of work. Up to 14 can be identified, some by board, zone, or commissioner. These key areas can be changed when we feel that the item is under control. The officers register them on the system, fill in the data of work done by them against each of these items of work on a daily basis. That's why we're calling the system Pratidin. The data gets frozen at midnight. It's visible to all officers, and senior officers can guide, comment on the system itself in cases of non-performance. The reports can be downloaded in Excel formats or even in graphs. This is how our report looks like, madam. This is the actual data of scrutiny of returns, which is a priority area of CBIC of one of the commissionerates for the last week of March this year. I'm not giving the name, just hidden it. This compares the performances of different divisions of the commissionerate on one page. We can see that one division has done a wonderfully good job. They cleared 16 returns in that 1 week. Other divisions have disposed of 5 to 9 returns, but there is one division too, which has disposed of only 2 returns. Thus, administrative intervention is now possible immediately. This report is also available in graphical formats, madam. We shall be using this, we use this system on a trial basis at CGST Bhopal zone for some time now. And I must inform you, madam, that the officers are happy with the system because first, the priority areas are well defined. Second, there are a large number of silent, sincere, and hardworking officers who are often not noticed. Now their work speaks for them. We were also able to identify non-performers who can be motivated to perform better. We shall be implementing this system in 4 stages, madam, in 4 months. By 31st October, we will be able to cover all commissioners, zones, and divisions, and we will be able to monitor the performance of the smallest formation of a range effectively. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I now request the Honorable Finance Minister to kindly launch Pratidin.
Six years of GST, simplifying taxes, driving growth.
धन्यवाद महोदय। पिछले 6 वर्षों में जीएसटी ने एक नई कर व्यवस्था का निर्माण किया है, जिससे व्यापार और उपभोक्ता दोनों को लाभ पहुंचा है। जीएसटी से हुए आर्थिक विकास को डीजी टैक्स पे सर्विसेज ने एक फिल्म का रूप दिया है। आइए देखते हैं ये लघु फिल्म बेनिफिट्स ऑफ जीएसटी।
In 2017, India witnessed a monumental transformation in its tax system with the introduction of GST. This ambitious reform aimed to streamline the taxation process, realizing the dream of one nation, one tax, and also to rationalize the impedance of tax in such a way that it complements the needs of Indian citizens and trades. GST makes the Indian market competitive by ushering in an era of higher transparency, lower compliance burden, and ease of doing business. The implementation of GST brought about a wave of transformation in the business landscape. Business owners are opened to a plethora of benefits like simplified and streamlined tax structure, reduction in cost of production, free flow of interstate input tax credit, easy and transparent online procedures, ease of compliance, as well as legal recognition to the business.
We are a 2-year-old startup and GST has been very beneficial for us. Up to 40 lakhs turnover, we need not pay GST, so it's encouraging for us to develop our company. And the whole process of single GST instead of VAT, service tax, duty, exemption from all that and bringing into a single scale has been very helpful. And the filing returns is also very easy for us.
Additionally, composition scheme, QRMP scheme, and measures such as nil filings of returns through SMS have provided substantial relief to MSMEs by considerably reducing their compliance workload. GST's simplified compliance process has been a game changer for businesses. On one hand, auto-population of returns has reduced human errors as well as reduced return filing time. On the other hand, the introduction of initiatives like e-way bill system has significantly reduced transaction cost by cutting down high logistics and warehousing costs.
ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਪੇਪਰਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਫਸੇ ਰਹਿੰਦੇ ਹਾਂ। ਹੁਣ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਟੂਲ ਟੈਕਸ ਤੇ ਬੜੀ ਤੰਗੀ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਸੀ। ਹੁਣ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਰਸਤਾ, ਟਾਈਮ ਔਰ ਸਾਡਾ ਪੈਸਾ ਬਹੁਤ ਵਧੀਆ ਬਚ ਰਿਹਾ ਔਰ ਰੋਡ ਦੀ ਬੜੀ ਵਧੀਆ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਸਹੂਲਤ ਮਿਲ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ।
GST was designed with the prime focus of providing tax relief to the common man by rationalization of tax rates to reduce the burden of taxation.
GST has contributed in reducing inflation by reducing the cost of production and distribution. GST has also led in rationalization of tax rates and also reducing the overall tax burden. GST has also contributed in reducing the prices of goods and services, overall benefiting us consumers.
Implementation of GST minimized the scope for tax evasion and improved tax collection efficiency, allowing the government to allocate resources towards most important sectors such as healthcare, education and infrastructure development, and reducing the cost of living. This, in turn, benefits the general public by fostering economic growth and investment, resulting in the creation of more jobs. In a recent survey done by a leading global consulting and financial advisory firm, GST at 6 continues to spearhead the key objectives of an effective, stable and transparent tax ecosystem, with 94% business leaders sharing affirmative sentiments towards it. 72% of respondents recognized the positive impact of GST. Overall, GST as the taxation system of New India, as expressed by Honorable Prime Minister at the time of its launch, has not only brought ease of doing business, rather it has proved to be a key economic reform, paving the way for a social reform in India by creating a corruption-free, easy and simple indirect taxation regime.
Six years of GST, simplifying taxes, driving growth.
GST has ushered in a new era of hope and prosperity in our country. Today, we present a song celebrating this historic tax reform. The song on GST has been created by our own officers and is being performed by a choir comprising of officers and staff ranging from housekeeping staff to drivers and joint commissioners from the Guwahati Zone. I proudly present the CBIC Shillong Choir.
सिंपल टैक्स बढ़ रहा है व्यापार देश की प्रगति की है रफ्तार गई रफ्तार छोटे व्यापारी को भी अब मिल गया पूरा बाजार देश में खुशहाली आई खुशियाँ है अब हर हमको सराहा रहा संसार इन्वेस्टर्स को जुआ रहा है भारत का ही बड़ा
एक देश, एक कर और एक ही बाजार. How nicely does music capture the soul of everything. Thank you CBIC Shillong Choir for that amazing performance. I now request Sri Sanjay Malhotra, Revenue Secretary, to kindly address the gathering.
Good evening, everyone. Honorable Union Minister for Finance and Corporate Affairs, Ms.Nirmala SItharaman, the Honorable Union Minister of State for Finance, Chairman CBIC, Member CBIC, all dignitaries present over here, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, a big congratulations to all of you on this GST Day, the 6th GST Day. It's indeed been a transformation, a huge transformation in which all of you have played a huge role under, of course, the visionary leadership of our Prime Minister and the guidance of our Finance Minister. From humble beginnings 6 years ago, it's a huge journey that we have made from 60 lakh taxpayers now to more than 140 lakh taxpayers. from about 90,000 rupees, lakh crore rupees per month to now more than 160 lakh crore, 1.6 lakh crore a month of GST revenues. Huge growth in the last 2-3 years. It's all because of the hard work and dedication with which all of you have worked. And so my compliments to all of you on this day. Also congratulations to the award winners who will be getting the awards today. I also would like to take this opportunity to compliment the CBIC for coming out with Pratidin, the performance management system for officers. This is something that one would hear of in the private sector, which is more prone to competition and which would want to, improve their performance vis-a-vis the competitors. But here, in the government, you don't have any competition, especially in the tax system, because it's a sovereign function. And so to have set out this mandate for themselves through Pratidin to be monitoring or evaluating, their own performance vis-a-vis benchmarks that they set for themselves, assisting their own people to manage their affairs. I think this is something which needs to be complemented, and I'm sure that this will go a long way in improving the work of the whole of the CBIC, and this is something that I think we should all take a leaf out of and try to emulate in our own departments. While, we have made tremendous progress, my previous speakers have mentioned about it. We have seen the film which talks about the journey and where we are, number of laurels on which we can, of course, stand and be proud of. But I think this occasion is important for us, and I would like to remind all of you that these achievements have been built on, according to me, 3 pillars, 3 T's, on which we need to continue to focus on in case we have to continue to be doing well. And the first T is the taxpayer. And when I say the taxpayer, because he's really, the hero of, or the middle, the focus point for us. The taxpayer, when I say about taxpayer, it's about his ease, it's about his convenience, it's about his facilitation, it is about his or her empowerment. And of course, CBIC and the states and all of us together have been working on it. The Honorable Finance Minister herself has been very, very keen and has been always reminding us of its importance. The members have gone across the width and the breadth of the country, doing outreach programs. But it's important at this point again, to remind ourselves that we need to continue to do this, because ultimately it is the taxpayers that who are going to give us this important revenue. And as Chairman CBIC mentioned, that when we are talking about taxpayers' convenience, of course it doesn't mean that those who are the evaders or those who are the fraudsters, we spare them. Certainly, we have to take action against them, but how can we be more focused? How can we be more non-intrusive so that we reach the fraudsters without being intrusive and without causing any inconvenience to the honest taxpayers? I think this is because people from all over the country, various levels are present here. We continue to do this, try to build services for taxpayers' convenience. This message, I think, all of us need to adopt at all levels. The second thing, the second T or important pillar is technology. whether it is the taxpayer's convenience or the taxman's convenience, as some of the inspectors present here today gave their account of the benefits and how digital and how technology has helped them. I think there is no denying the fact, no emphasizing the point that we have to continue to build on technology and use technology as well. So while we are building on the technology blocks here in GSTN, and we continue to do so, the people at the field, at the state, they also need to keep adopting, keep honing their skills on technology, use it so that they can use it for their own convenience, they can use it for their performance management as was mentioned, and they can use it for the betterment of the taxpayers. I would feel, the ideal situation for us would be if the compliance burden, we can in fact totally remove, the compliance burden from the taxpayers, if we can provide him a seamless journey or a seamless platform in which the accounting software, their ERPs are totally integrated with our tax portal. And that is something, that we in GSTN will continue to work on and build. And the third T I would like to remind all of you, on the basis of which we have reached here, is teamwork. The cooperative federalism that we have demonstrated here in the GST Council and all of you in the field, whether it is between the states or between the state and the center where you are working in the districts and the state level, that is again something that needs to be continued, especially at the field level, because as you are aware and as was amply demonstrated by the All India drive that we did against bogus firms and fake billing, that this network actually, is not, it does not, stay within the boundaries of a state, or doesn't stay within the boundaries of this one central zone. From, the zone, it can go to the same state zone, or it can go to, the other states. And so this coordination, we already have a mechanism at the state for meetings, coordination amongst each other, for best practices, for issues which relate to the taxpayers. And so that is something that we need to continue to build on. With these words, again, I would like to congratulate all of you on this achievement. As I said, it is not only, about taxes and revenues, it's about building for us a better future, a simple, convenient, and easy system, which I am sure all of us, under the leadership of the Honorable Finance Minister, can very ably do. Thank you very much. Jai Hind.
अपने शब्दों से हमें प्रेरणा देने के लिए माननीय राजस्व सचिव का धन्यवाद। अब मैं माननीय वित्त राज्य मंत्री श्री पंकज चौधरी जी से अनुरोध करती हूं कि वे सभा को संबोधित करें।
माननीय वित्त मंत्री श्रीमती निर्मला सीतारमन जी, राजस्व सचिव श्री संजय मल्होत्रा जी, चेयरमैन सीबीआईसी श्री विवेक जौहरी जी, मेंबर सीबीआईसी के सभी सम्मानित सदस्यगण, प्रशस्ति पत्र तथा पुरस्कार प्राप्त करने वाले एवं यहाँ उपस्थित सभी देवियों और सज्जनों, 6 साल पहले एक हौसला हमारे उपदेष्टा प्रधानमंत्री श्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी ने किया और हमें विश्वास दिलाया कि भारत की आर्थिक एकीकरण का समय आ चुका है। सरहदों में बटी हिंदुस्तानी रियासतों को बांधकर एक भारत बनाने वाले लौह पुरुष सरदार पटेल के बाद अब माननीय प्रधानमंत्री श्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी की बारी थी, यूँ कहें कि जिम्मेदारी थी। और ये जिम्मेदारी थी कि सरहदी करों को समाप्त कर पूरे भारत में एक कर, अलग अलग टैक्स व्यवस्थाओं को समाप्त कर पूरे भारत में ही टैक्स व्यवस्था लागू करने की, ये हमारे यशस्वी प्रधानमंत्री श्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी ही थे जिन्होंने विश्व के सबसे बड़े लोकतंत्र में सर्वसम्मति से आर्थिक एकीकरण को लागू किया। अपने एक कर एक भारत श्रेष्ठ भारत को रचने का युगांतकारी कदम उठाया। हम सौभाग्यशाली हैं जो आपके नेतृत्व में नए भारत को श्रेष्ठ भारत के रूप में आकार लेता हुआ देख रहे हैं। समय भी कुछ कम नहीं था और हम इतिहास उठाकर देखें तो परीक्षा तो इसने श्री राम की भी ली थी, तो आपको कैसे छोड़ता। कोरोना और उसके बाद वैश्विक आपूर्ति चैन का गंभीर रूप से प्रभावित होने की अत्यंत विकट समस्या सामने रख दी। दुनिया के कई देश धाराशाही हो गए, लेकिन माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने भी हार मानना नहीं सीखा। चुनौतियों को हराने की जिद को आपने आदत बना लिया है। हमारी जुझारू वित्त मंत्री महोदया श्रीमती निर्मला सीतारमन जी के सेनापतित्व में आप अर्थव्यवस्था को पटरी पर लेकर आए, और लाए भी तो कैसे, लस्त पस्त होकर नहीं बल्कि धमाके के साथ। दुनिया की सबसे तेज गति से बढ़ती अर्थव्यवस्था को 5वीं सबसे बड़ी अर्थव्यवस्था बनाकर आपने पूरी दुनिया में भारत के आर्थिक श्रेष्ठता का बिगुल फूंक दिया। नए भारत की श्रेष्ठ भारत के रूप में इस छलांग से जीएसटी का बहुत बड़ा योगदान है, और जीएसटी को मूर्त के साथ सुचारू रूप देने में आप सभी का अमूल्य योगदान है। हमारी अत्यंत ऊर्जावान वित्त मंत्री महोदया के नेतृत्व में आप सभी को सम्मिलित प्रयास आज इतिहास बन गया है। कर संग्रह और निरंतर उछाल और एकाध अपवादों को छोड़कर सर्वसम्मति से समस्त निर्णय की ऐसी अपूर्व अद्वितीय व्यवस्था को लागू करना वास्तव में इतिहास बनाना है। हम इसलिए भी सौभाग्यशाली हैं कि हमारे युगदृष्टा नेतृत्व ने हमें यह मौका दिया है, वरना जिंदगियां गुजर जाती हैं। इतिहास बनाना तो दूर, इतिहास में दर्ज होने तक का मौका नहीं मिलता। 38 लाख करदाताओं के साथ शुरू हुई व्यवस्था में आज 1,42,00,000 करदाता शामिल हैं। जीएसटी से पहले जो कर संग्रह लगभग 4 लाख करोड़ रुपए वार्षिक था, वो आज की तारीख में लगभग 18 लाख करोड़ रुपए वार्षिक तक पहुंच चुका है। और मुझे ये कहते हुए खुशी है कि वर्ष दर वर्ष, चरण दर चरण, समस्या दर समस्या का लंबा रास्ता तय कर हम यहाँ तक पहुँचे हैं। इस सफर में आप सभी के अथक प्रयास और कड़ी मेहनत के लिए आप सभी को पुनः धन्यवाद देता हूँ। विश्व के सबसे बड़े बाजार का सबसे बड़ी अर्थव्यवस्था बनने की तरफ उठाया गया आत्मनिर्भर कदम अब छलांग का रूप ले चुका है, और मुझे पूर्ण विश्वास है कि इसे बजरंगबली की हिमालय सरीखी छलांग बनाने में आप सभी इसी तरह अपना योगदान देंगे। आप लोगों के समर्पित प्रयासों के आधार पर मैं यह कह सकता हूं कि आने वाले दिनों में हमारी इस सफलता के अफसाने लिखे जाएंगे और दास्तानाएं सुनाई जाएंगी। यहाँ यह भी याद रखना जरूरी है कि हम अपनी कमियां दूर करनी है। तकनीकी गड़बड़ियों से लेकर मानवीय संवेदना तक अभी बहुत कुछ दुरुस्त करना है। कर संग्रह का रिकॉर्ड भारत के आर्थिक समृद्धि के लिए बहुत अच्छा है, लेकिन हमें यह नहीं भूलना चाहिए कि भारत भारतीयों से ही बनता है। किसी भी भारतीय को, चाहे वो किसी भी कोने का रहने वाला क्यों ना हो, गलत रूप से परेशान नहीं किया जाना चाहिए। कर की वसूली एक बात है और किसी को प्रताड़ित करना, किसी का शोषण करना बिल्कुल ही दूसरी बात है। दुनिया के सामने मिसाल बने जीएसटी के इस इतिहास को हमें किसी भी तरह से कलंक से बचाना है। हमें सुनिश्चित करना है कि हमारी कर व्यवस्था इतनी सरल और पारदर्शी हो, इतनी वित्रवत और सहयोगी हो कि भारत का प्रत्येक छोटा बड़ा व्यवसायी जीएसटी का सदस्य बनने में गर्व महसूस करे। हमें इस व्यवस्था को उस हद तक सरल बनाना है कि करदाता इसे स्वयं अपनाए एवं स्वयं इसका अनुपालन करे। इतना सरल कि करदाता को कर का भुगतान करने में गर्व की अनुभूति हो। यह कर के बारे में चिंतित होने के बजाय भारत के विकास में स्वयं के योगदान से प्रफुल्लित हो और गौरवान्वित हो। लगभग 2.5 लाख शिकायतों को आप सभी 17,000 तक लेकर आए और मुझे यकीन है कि आप सभी इसे शून्य तक लाने की क्षमता रखते हैं। मैं आज इस मंच से आप सभी का आह्वान करता हूं कि शिकायतों के निस्तारण में भी आप एक कीर्तिमान स्थापित करें। मेरी कामना है कि आप सभी इतने मनयोग से काम करें कि आने वाले समय में सम्मानित किए जाने वालों की पंक्ति ही समाप्त ना हो और ना ही सम्मानित करने वालों के हाथ थके या रुके। विश्व की सर्वाधिक लोकप्रिय लोकमित्र कर व्यवस्था के रूप में जीएसटी का उदय भारत की आर्थिक शक्ति को दुनिया के पटल पर स्थापित करने वाला है। ये मेरी शुभकामना है कि आप सभी के सामूहिक प्रयासों से जीएसटी विश्व की सर्वाधिक विश्वसनीय, सरल और श्रेष्ठ व्यवस्था बने और कर व्यवस्था के क्षेत्र में न सिर्फ बल्कि संपूर्ण विश्व का मार्गदर्शन करे। इसी कामना के साथ मैं एक बार पुनः जीएसटी दिवस की हार्दिक शुभकामनाएं देते हुए अपनी वाणी को विराम देता हूं। जय हिंद, जय भारत।
धन्यवाद महोदय। आपके शब्दों ने न सिर्फ हमें नई ऊर्जा दी है बल्कि हमारा सही पथ पर मार्गदर्शन भी किया है। जीएसटी का लागू होना हम सभी के लिए एक ऐतिहासिक उपलब्धि है। हमारे विभाग के अधिकारियों ने जीएसटी की सफलता में अपना अभूतपूर्व योगदान दिया है। In recognition of their exemplary contribution, we will now present commendation certificates to them. I request Honorable Finance Minister to kindly present the officers with commendation certificates. I request all the dignitaries to kindly come to the front of the dais for the ceremony. I now request the awardees to come to the stage as we call out their names. Shri Priya Ranjan Srivastav, Additional Commissioner, CGST, Varanasi. Dr. Sudhanshu Rai, Additional Commissioner, CGST, Delhi. Shri Amit Samdaria, Deputy Commissioner, GST Policy Wing, CBIC. Ms. Smita Roy, Technical Officer, TRU-2. Ms. Kriti Tiwari, Deputy Director, DGGI, Indore. Shri Paritosh Vineet Vyas, Deputy Commissioner, CGST, Chennai. Shri Ajankya Hari Katkar, Deputy Commissioner, CGST, Mumbai. Ms. Anshika Agarwal, Deputy Director, DGGI, Delhi. Shri Dhruv, Deputy Director, DG Systems, Delhi. Dr. Geetu Badolia, Deputy Commissioner, CGST, Noida. Shri Ankit Gehlot, Deputy Director, DGGI, Guwahati. Shri Vimal Kumar Pant, Additional Assistant Director, DG Audit, Delhi.
Shri Umesh Talwar, Adhikshak, Nasin, Faridabad. Sri Sureshas, Adhikshak, CGST Kochi. Sri Rejites, Adhikshak, CGST Kochi. Sri Dinesh Balasaheb More, Adhikshak, CGST Pune. Sri Nirmal Pradhan, Adhikshak, CGST Siliguri. Sri Daniel Arputaraj D, Prashasanik Adhikari, CGST Coimbatore. Sri Deepak Kumar, Nirikshak, DGTS New Delhi. Sri Nitik Goyal, Nirikshak, DGGST New Delhi. Sri Milan Tiwari, Nirikshak, Principal CCO, Chennai. Sri Vinay Kumar, Nirikshak, DGHRD. Sri Bikram Kumar Kesari, Karyakari Sahayak, DGGI. Sri Gokul Sharma, Kar Sahayak, Delhi CGST. Thank you, Madam, and all the other dignitaries. And the heartiest congratulations to all the awardees. It is indeed a proud privilege to have the Honorable Finance Minister with us today. Thank you so much, ma'am, for taking the time out of your extremely busy schedule to grace this occasion. I request you, madam, to kindly share your insights and wisdom with us.
Good evening, and let me start with greeting all of you all and conveying my good wishes on this day, the GST Day. It is with the very dedicated efforts of each one of you all that we are here celebrating the 6th year. And 6th year after 2 or 3 years of very difficult situation because of the COVID, and the recovery today, where you find media reports talking about monthly GST collections remaining above 1.6 lakh crores as the new normal. It is completely unbelievable, a story of It's an unbelievable story of sheer dedication, commitment, and grit with which each one of you all have served the nation, and the credit goes to you today. So, all my appreciations. Equally, my appreciations to all those who have won the commendations and also the awards for your dedicated service. So Revenue Secretary, Chairman of the CBIC, member of the CBIC, my colleague, and all officers, retired members of the board, and to all of you, it's a moment where the government can feel extremely proud of a dedicated set of officers performing their sovereign function, but proving it to the nation that nothing will stop in the mandate given by the Parliament getting fully implemented with full force from the bureaucracy which is behind it, which is the Indian Revenue Service. So congratulations to each one of you. I would just want to very quickly recollect how this journey has been made possible. Of course, it was in 2000 that this entire discussion about GST had commenced under the then Prime Minister, Shri Atal Bihari Vajpayee. It was first suggested then that we'll have a GST, and some work had commenced. It hadn't seen the light of the day. It went on like that. And it was not till the first introduction into the Parliament in 2014 that you had an idea that this is actually a working proposition, and the Parliament took it up. And within 2 years after that, the 101st Constitutional Amendment Act had been passed in the Parliament, and subsequently, by September of 2016, we had 50% of all states actually coming up with the respective states' own bills, and therefore, this path-breaking new legislation for a new India to bring in one tax for the entire country really saw the light of the day. And since 2016-17, actually from 2017, economic integration as one India. My honorable colleague mentioned how for integrating India, the then Home Minister Sardar Patel had made a tremendous effort. For economic integration, the GST was just that signal which all of us really welcomed. Before the GST, and of course I'm not getting into how many taxes, 17 of them, and then also some 13 cesses were all subsumed into this GST, making it simpler for the country. But the fact remains that the fragmented economic affairs, fragmented indirect taxation regime which prevailed all over the country, actually, in reality, caused a burden on the consumer, in that there were gray areas, there were tax over tax, so tax on tax effect actually kept goods highly expensive. Now, this is one point which I'm going to repeat in my address today, that tax on tax had actually taken many of the goods to well over 31% in terms of taxation. And that time, with all the desire to have one taxation in the country, we still didn't think that that was outrageous and named that tax as anything, like the way in which we hear some leaders telling us about GST being a burdensome tax. But what system prevailed earlier was indeed burdensome, in that a tax on tax had added on to the burden. And I'll show you with a few figures to show how the introduction of GST has actually brought the net actual tax on the consumer down, and in some cases remarkably down. And despite this reality, you still have a lot of people confusing the minds of the people, saying GST has actually burdened the society. Actually not. And therefore, it is necessary for all of us to recognize this tax, its importance in making sure that it, on the one hand, does justice to the consumers in having brought the rates down, and having removed the double taxation element, and on the other, making sure genuinely what the governments will have to earn in terms of taxation is being collected systematically without any personal level discretion. So that is the big story of GST, which I think will have to be repeatedly said, articulated, and conveyed to the people so that misleading news about GST is addressed, because it is a fact that GST has made life easy. GST has made life easy for small businesses, and GST has made it easy for goods to move freely in this country. So the tax on tax effect has got to be explained with proper figures, and also to explain it to the people so that it is going to drive home the point that GST is not just for business simplification, it is also for ultimate benefit to the consumer. So I just want to highlight how on many common use items, the tax incidence under the GST has been much lower compared to the pre-GST. For example, in items like pasteurized milk, tea, milk powder, sugar, edible vegetable oils, spices and footwear, which are priced up to 500 rupees, whatever relevant unit it may be of measure, attract taxes of 5% under GST, compared with earlier tax incidence of 6 to 10%. So naturally, these items, which are commonplace items, are now taxed less. And again, for example, hair oil, toothpaste, soaps, perfumes, detergents, and on all these items, the average pre-GST tax burden was almost 28%, which was brought down to 18% under the GST. So these are tangible numbers. So if somebody were to comment saying GST actually has brought in burden, and I don't want to repeat the full expression, but it is a fact that it's been called Gabbar Singh tax, which is a shame, because this country should know a step like GST has actually brought relief to the common citizens. So the average pre-GST taxation on common use electrical items, for instance, such as mixers, grinders, fridge, refrigerators, vacuum cleaners, and TV. And all of them, the TV, for instance, I'm quoting 27 inches television, and washing machines, they were all at 31.5%, and now they've come down to 12% under GST, and these are no longer luxury items. These are now essential, and for middle class, where particularly it's a small household where both the spouses are working, these are essential items for better functioning of the household. And if this has been brought down to 12%, we can understand that from an ordinary toothpaste up to these kind of items, prices coming down is actually benefiting the ordinary citizen. Many bathroom and tiles, toilet tile fittings, doors, windows, and frames were earlier taxed at an average of 28%. Now they are all brought down to 18%. So I'm purposely giving, it's not as if the officials here who have actually worked in implementing the system do not know the figures. But we also have a very eminent set of senior journalists seated here. It is they who have to convey through their columns, through their news reports, through their analysis, that GST actually means, in terms of items that are used by common citizens, a relief in terms of the tax, the double tax being avoided, tax on tax being avoided, and actual rates coming down on common man's items. So I'm more for the media who are here, for whose sake I'm repeating these numbers, and those of you who are here, part of the CBIC, the Revenue Service, pardon me for repeating something which you probably know at the fingertips, I don't need to tell you anything more on it. But it is for the media that I'm using this opportunity to say how the GST actually means a common man's relief as a tax, and that is why I'm repeating this. Now, movie tickets. Again, I remember I was in Commerce Ministry, and at that time, at the introduction of GST, there were a lot of confusion prevailing. Movie tickets, at least in some states, when because of GST, the rates were coming down, the local authorities imposed their own taxes. But the impression which went around among common people was because of GST, even movie in a very inexpensive theater is now being charged highly. But that wasn't the case. Movie tickets, which were taxed at almost 35%, were brought down to 12% for tickets up to 100 rupees and to 18% for tickets more than 100 rupees. That was GST. But if locally some states saw a hike in the rates, it wasn't due to GST. Even now, I would think at every level, and this I appeal to the officers, at every level, it is important after every GST council meeting that officers immediately be aware of the changes made, so that if there are any tweakings or if there are any misconceptions, you are there to address, saying, no, that's not what the GST Council has decided. Anything else could have happened, but it is not GST Council's. That clarity in time will have to be given. Otherwise, the confusion which prevails, in spite of the good work that you do, brings back a certain confusion and misconception that the GST probably needs to be looked into. It is not being fair to the common man. It is completely fair to the common man because the decisions taken in the council are taken by finance ministers who come from various states, who certainly will keep the common man in their mind as much as we would keep. And therefore, it is important to remove misconceptions at every stage immediately rather than delay it. Now, if pre-GST compared with GST so favorably projects the figures of GST at the time of introduction, post the introduction, the GST rates have been periodically reviewed, and even from the time of introduction to now, there is further reduction in rates on very many items. So it's not as if today, 2023, standing 6 years after the introduction, I'm still saying that pre-GST we had such rates. Today, after the introduction, rates have come down, but even after the introduction of GST, we have further worked on it to further bring down prices. I want to give you some examples even of such reductions. Reduction from 28% GST at the time of introduction, that is, to 5% were made on very many items. Tires, seats, parts, accessories for carriages, for particularly Vigyan, rubber waste, aircraft engines were all brought down from 28% to 5%. Now I'm comparing after introduction of GST to today, 6 years later. Again, reduction from 28% GST to 12%. Earlier was 28 to 5. Now I'm talking of examples of 28 to 12. Tableware, kitchenware, other household articles, office and desk equipments, luggage and travel accessories, and idols of wood, stone, and metals, medical grade oxygen, parts of many agricultural and forestry machinery, tanks, armored vehicles, etc. So even they have come down from 28% to 12%. Now, reduction in tax from 28 to 18%. I'll give you examples again between the time of introduction to today. Common use items, furniture, wood items, many other electrical equipments, and components such as for switches, cables, wires, fans, pumps, lamps, and other fittings, suitcases and bags, paints, sporting and gym equipments, musical instruments, and watches. So the point that I'm trying to highlight here is not just before the introduction to after introduction, but even after introduction to today, there is a constant attempt by the GST Council to make it simpler, to make it easier, to make it less burdensome for our consumers. There have been also not just the 28% items coming down to something 18, 12, or 5, but also 18% items have also come down. Now, items from 18 to 5 are several. Food items such as peanut and sesame chickies, groundnuts, sweets, labeled puffed rice, the rub, I think I always wonder how to pronounce this, the sugarcane juice, rub, which is largely, rab, okay, rab, which is largely an item of interest in Uttar Pradesh, have all come down from 18 to 5. Similarly, reduction of tax from 18 to 12 have also happened. Drip irrigation systems, yarn, fly ash, bricks, food items such as sugar boiled confectionery, and so on. In fact, condensed milk, mixed on condiments, refined sugar, cubes, and decorative objects. 12 to 5 also has a list of common items, medicines, and so on. Electrical vehicles have also come down from 12 to 5. Unbranded Ayurvedic, Unani, Siddha, homeopathic medicines, orthopedic appliances have all come down as well. So, over and above this, at the time of introduction, there was an item which was at the 3% level. That's also come down to 0.25. And that is the rough industrial diamonds, precious stones, and semi-precious stones. The idea being that these are job-creating sectors. They also have enough export potential, and therefore the rates have been kept as low as that. I hope it is not something which we've forgotten, that the GST has also items which are being exempted in total. It is important now to remember them once more so that our friends from the media will remember that GST continuously improves on reduction in tax rates so that the incidence that falls on the common consumer is low, but also keep the items which are completely exempted kept high on the agenda. Items which are not sold pre-packaged and labeled are completely exempted. There was a lot of discussion about it because there was a lot of misconception, but I repeat, paneer, dried makhana, wheat, rice flour, cereal flour, puffed rice, etc., honey, and so on, curd, are all exempted from GST when they are pre-packaged, when they are not sold as pre-packaged. So are sanitary napkins. So are stone, marble, and wood deities, khadi products from the Khadi Village Industries Commission. Charka for hand-spinning yarns are exempted. Hearing aids and parts of hearing aids are exempted. Life-saving drugs are exempted, and so on. So if these goods are exempted, services are also exempted. Some of them, healthcare, educational services, midday meal catering, and so on. Public transport services, auto rickshaws, metered cabs, metro, and agricultural services are all exempt. Now, one point on which there is frequently a discussion, and that is, all right, you have explained about common consumers not paying very high rate, but what about the center-state relations? What about the way in which you're distributing the revenue that you collect to the states and so on? I just want to highlight that the first thing, also mentioned by Revenue Secretary when he spoke, the number of taxpayers registered in GST has almost doubled to 1.4 crores in June 2023 from a relatively small number of 67.83 lakhs in July 2017. So the tax net is widening. The comments made by one Big Four firm observing the functions of GST was already mentioned. 22% year-on-year growth in the GST revenue is a testimony to the overall economic development, taxpayer-centric administration. Really speaks about how this GST is now improving. And about 88% of MSME respondents have also, in the survey, have also acknowledged that the reduced cost of goods and services, attributing it to the improved uniformity with which GST regime is implemented. So this is also reflected in the fact that when we saw the video presentation, I take this one example of the quarterly return and monthly payment scheme, the QRMP. It has benefited about 44 lakh MSMEs who are taxpayers and therefore made compliance far more easier. System is also being improved as much as the rates are also being brought down. So the features of GST will have to be looked at from so many different angles, all of which are improving. And as a result of which, there's been resilience in the economy. I would just highlight some 4 major points bulleted. Maximum e-way bill generated in a day is 37.74 lakhs. In a day, the system generates 37.74 lakh e-way bills. That's a maximum we've done on one day. Similarly, highest payment transactions which has happened in a day is 9.78 lakh rupees. Transactions. Highest return filing in a day, 24.85 lakhs in a day. Now, I am unable to resist my temptation to recall the troubles that this digital platform had at one point in time. It was such a anguish-creating, GST, what's this? This portal is not good, it's not happening. Please call Infosys, ask them to talk, ask them to improve it. Today, on a single day, that very system takes 24.85 lakh return filing. The tenacity of that system has been so improved. Otherwise, on a single day for that portal to take this and be ready for more wouldn't have happened. Again, as a result of the dedicated work of our team with the Infosys to get the system a lot more updated is bearing result. And the last data I'd like to share here is maximum e-invoice uploaded in a month. I'd like the media to give a special attention to this data. Maximum e-invoice uploaded in a month is 17.48 crores. So that's the system's resilience. And unless the system, together with officials who are dealing with it, have not responded in time and adequately, this kind of data, this set of data that I've given you, proving every day, each day, where it has worked in favor, will not happen. So I just want to make sure that this kind of scaling up which the GST system has done is recognized by each one of us, as much as the media, so that people of India can feel proud that this nation's taxation system is a lot more professionally run, digitally run, efficiently run, and as a result of which we find the results today, and confront anyone who would want to have misconceptions built to shame this country. This is the country which has given GST, which is now appreciated globally and has improved tax efficiency. We cannot afford to have people slight us without reason. I will not elaborate on the fake invoice tracking which the chairman CBIC has spoken about. Now the collections have improved. The new normal is being talked about. If only the fake invoices and the claim, the fraudulent claims, I mean, am I right in saying it's about 13,900, nearly 14,000 crores which are part of this fake claims? You can imagine to what extent that also will be adding to the tax buoyancy. And therefore, I want these hard facts to be mentioned to the credit of each one of you who have worked and dispel this myth about GST is not delivering for this country. On the contrary, it has brought in relief to the taxpayer and to the businesses which so depend on it. I did talk about the center and states. We've held the GST Council meeting 49 times till now. Decisions except for one have all been taken through consensus. It was just one occasion when it had to be informally, but yet with a division. So I want to underline the fact that despite all the campaigns which happen against the GST and the GST Council, it's been a superlative, federal, reflective of the federal spirit of this country. So that is very important for us to carry forward our work in the future as well. One data, again, for center-state relations I want to give for the sake of the tax comparisons. Before GST, states' tax growth was only 8.3%, while GDP growth was 11.5%, meaning a low buoyancy of below 1 at 0.72. This means that the state's tax revenues were growing slower than the GDP itself. That is before the GST. I wish this point is fully understood and taken forward to communicate to everyone on this issue. And after GST, the tax growth was 12.3%, while GDP growth was 9.8%, resulting in a high buoyancy of 1.22%, and I'm talking about years 2018 to 2023. So, pre-GST and post-GST, let's understand, GST has brought in greater tax buoyancy, as a result of which more than the GST growth, your GSDP growth, your tax collection is growing. Therefore, both center and states benefit. So for those who are raising doubts about, oh no, states are now suffering, there's not enough, absolutely no truth in that. We have to dispel this myth that states are losing out after having joined hands for GST. There are some people, I hear less of it nowadays. Earlier, there were some people who were commenting by saying, oh, after having joined the GST, our state is suffering. No, today no state suffers after GST. And that is despite COVID. That is despite the revenue collection having come down in that year. Now the quick recovery, the new normal, all prove that states have not lost out. On the contrary, their tax buoyancy has gone up post-GST. So I just want this to be absolutely made clear. With this kind of a tax buoyancy, even without the GST compensation, because I know there are lots of people who research into this and who would say, all right, states' revenues improved because you gave them compensation which was on a higher plank, much more than what they would have expected to grow at, and therefore this buoyancy and this collection has happened. But no, I want to give you one more data to prove. Even without the GST compensation, state GST revenues have witnessed a buoyancy of 1.15. Earlier, I told you 1.22, which may be also because of compensation. But without compensation, 1.15 is the growth, which is much higher than compared to pre-GST buoyancy. So all this, I've taken quite some time explaining from all points of view, from all directions. I'm grateful for the indulgence that you've shown me in patiently listening to me. I felt it is important because on this day, it is not because a minister is praising you, or it's not because, you know, the collection is going up and that is public anyway. On every first of the month you get to know. It's not because of that, but because of the fact that whether it is the common consumer, whether it's the state governments, whether it's a matter of tax buoyancy, whether it's a question of making it digital and then making it simpler, GST stands out as an exemplar. And that's thankful to you. Thanks to you, it has come out like that. And it is, for the first time post-independence, that a federal institution, the GST Council, has been formed through an act of our parliament, and that institution's functioning also has proved that an institution of this stature can deliver for the welfare of the people and also make officials and the people of India proud for what it has done in just 6 years. So all my appreciation, wishing you all the very best, and I'm indeed thankful for the brilliant work that you've done. Thank you.
Ma'am, your words have left an indelible impression on all of us here. I cannot express enough how motivating it is for each one of us here to have you come and speak to us. And everything we have achieved so far, be it the highest e-way generation of almost 7 lakhs per day, or the highest payment transaction of 9 lakhs per day, or the astounding figure of 17.48 crores of e-invoices uploaded in a month, or the tax growth that we have witnessed after GST. None of this would have been possible without your great leadership, ma'am. Thank you so much. I now request Member CBI Sri Shashank Priya to please deliver the vote of thanks.
On behalf of CBIC, it is my privilege now to propose the vote of thanks. First and foremost, I am thankful to our chief guest, Honorable Union Minister of Finance and Corporate Affairs, Madam Nirmala SItharaman, for gracing the occasion and sharing her thoughts. The way you have, Madam, motivated us today, and the way you have brought out the gains that the country has made due to GST, that will only motivate us to work harder in the times to come. I thank our guest of honor, Honorable Union Minister of State for Finance, Sri Pankaj Chaudhary ji. Despite his very hectic schedule, he has been traveling very frequently, but still today he found the time and he came to join on this happy occasion. Thank you very much, sir. And your advice that while we do economic integration, but we have to be careful that taxpayers are not exploited. That is very well taken, sir. My sincere gratitude to the Revenue Secretary, Sri Sanjay Malhotra, who has always encouraged us in this GST journey. His calm, quiet demeanor and his deep thinking always helps us to take things forward. And today also, his focus on 3 T's, taxpayer, technology, and teamwork, would hold us in good stead in future. We are very thankful to Chairman CBIC, Sri Vivek Johri, who has guided us at every step of the preparation for today's celebration, and I'm sure that his guidance will always be available to us. Coming to the hard work that has been done by our officers who have made this program successful, my first and foremost thanks to the Chief Commissioner of Bhopal CGST Zone for his presentation on Pratidin. The Chief Commissioner of Guwahati Zone, I thank him for organizing the choir of the Shillong Zone, who gave such a tuneful rendition of our own GST song. We congratulate the awardees of the GST certificates, whose hard work and dedication I am sure will serve to motivate others. A special thanks to the family members of the awardees for coming to share their happy occasion. I extend my gratitude to all the senior officers of other departments, Chairman CBDT, Member CBDT, and others who made it today and who joined in this happy occasion. I also thank the retired senior officers of the department for gracing today's function. My special thanks to members of trade and media for their presence, which we always value very much. I thank the officers and staff of Vigyan Bhawan for making their flawless arrangement. At the end, I would like to express my deep appreciation and gratitude for the army of silent workers who have worked day in and day out to make this program look so smooth and so flawless. And my special thanks are due to the staff and officers of Delhi CGST under the leadership of Principal Chief Commissioner Sri Rajesh Sodhi, the Directorate General of Taxpayer Services led by Ms. Renu Jagdev, and the Directorate General of GST led by Ms. Seema Arora. Thank you very much to all of you and all your officers. And last but not the least, a very special thanks to the two young officers, Ms. Anu Joshi and Ms. Tanvi Soni, who conducted today's function so seamlessly. And my vote of thanks will be incomplete by thanking all the wonderful audience who were so patiently enjoyed and listened to all of us. Thank you all. Thank you very much. Jai Hind.
धन्यवाद महोदय। जीएसटी दिवस समारोह को समाप्त करते हुए हमें ये विश्वास है कि सभी हितधारकों के निरंतर सहयोग से जीएसटी हमारे आर्थिक विकास में अपना महत्वपूर्ण योगदान देता रहेगा। अब मैं सबसे आग्रह करती हूँ कि वे राष्ट्रगान के लिए अपने स्थान पर खड़े हो जाएं।
जन गण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता, पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ उत्कल बंगा, विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा, तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे, गाहे तव जय गाथा, जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता, जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे।
Thank you all. I request everyone to remain seated till the dignitaries leave the hall. Please remain seated till the dignitaries leave the hall. Now, I also request all the dignitaries and the awardees to kindly proceed for the group photograph at the back of the auditorium. I request all the dignitaries and the awardees to kindly proceed for the group photograph at the back of the auditorium. All the participants and guests are requested to proceed for refreshments at their respective designated places as mentioned in your invitation cards. Thank you.